If you do miss anything, this will be sent to you via email, this whole recording, so you can go back and find somebody's contact info if you miss any information. So just to continue on, Society of Peer Mentors, if you're interested in mentoring younger students, that is something for you as well. Sorry, just checking out the chat. And Tiger Racing. So if you're a mechanical student, if you're interested in building race cars, getting involved with Tiger Racing is something you can do. I think Tiger Racing is one of the coolest clubs we have on campus. They compete nationally every year and do really well in those competitions. So those are some things you can get involved with. And I do want to point out that there is a chat function in this meeting. So if you have any questions throughout the whole meeting, feel free to use the chat and type it in the chat. We will allot some time at the end for a Q&A for all of our panelists and you guys. So if you want to wait until the end to type out your question, that's fine. But if you do have a question about something that's being talked about, you can type it in the chat and we'll get to it right away. So just want to point that out to feel free to use that feature. So engineering Tiger connections. So obviously I'm talking about all these clubs and organizations. This is kind of like an engineering open house for all of these student orgs and clubs. So each September we'll have engineering Tiger connections in Patrick F. Taylor Hall, and that's where you can kind of walk around and meet different people, talk to people in different student orgs and clubs. And that'll kind of be a good way to meet people and see what you can get involved with. E squared as well, if you want to see what's going on in the real world, seeing what's happening in the industry, I definitely recommend that. And LSU does a great job of that at bringing industry to LSU. But this is something where you can actually go out and see industry. So going to the Gulf Coast, going to Disney World, going to Silicon Valley, this is also something you can get involved with. And then Bengal Brawl. So if you're interested in robotics, this is something we have every April in Patrick F. Taylor Hall. All of our robots fight it out down in the building, and this brings literally hundreds of people to come and watch our robots duel it out. And these are all student made as well. So that's another thing you can get involved with. So let me turn it over to Dr. Melvin, and she will talk a little bit more about the Chevron Center. So Dr. Melvin.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Liz Melvin, and as Michael said, I'm the Director of Academic Affairs for the College of Engineering, and I'm really excited to see so many freshmen here today. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that, that the Chevron Center is involved in the College of Engineering. And at the beginning of all things, we really were centered around communications. So you'll hear about a program called Communication Across the Curriculum. That's for the whole campus. It's not just for engineering students. But the person that works with that program in the College of Engineering is under our umbrella. So we have the communication studio, of course, and Michael talked a little bit about Global E3, which goes not only overseas, but also we do some trips domestically. And then of course at the beginning we did some capstone support. If you want to go ahead and, I don't think I have control of it. Or do I?
No, I have control. Let me
okay.
Sorry.
So of course, as our programs expanded, we started to do a whole lot more things. So in the Chevron Center, you have myself, Adrian Steele, and Boz Bowles, and all of us work on all of these various programs. We do a lot of outreach. Michael talked a little bit about the Society of Peer Mentors as an organization. I do some new faculty development, helping your professors learn how to teach a little bit better. We have the Leadership Academy, and we're also working on some not engineering certificate programs, but extra certificate programs that you can do in the College of Engineering, like leadership and safety. So we're working on developing those right now. But one of the things I do want to talk to you about, because this is we're centering on time management, is supplemental instruction. So going back to the communication studio, we have a number of pieces of equipment in there. This is for student use. So, keep this in mind. So if you have to print a poster, our prices are significantly less than FedEx Kinko's. And our turnaround time is a little bit better depending on what time of year it is. And you pay for it with your Tiger card. Anything that you do in the Chevron Center, you can pay for with your Tiger card. We have 3D printers in there. We also have a number of computers that you can use. We have a regular Pharos printer, so if you just need to print something off for class, we have that too. And one of the other things that I really like about our center is that we employ students to help us with all of this. So if you have President's Aid or work study and you're interested in finding a job, we do have jobs in the Chevron Center. We're going to be posting those very soon, so take a look on Handshake. That's where we're going to be posting all of our jobs if you're interested. But just know that this is a resource. Now, moving into this next semester, just to let you know, the way that we're going to run the center is going to be a little bit different because we want to make sure we keep you safe because of COVID. You know, we're not going to be allowing quite as many students in at first. And you'll have to, reserve your time on a computer. But, don't worry, it still is a place for you to come and use our resources if you'd like. All right, you can move to the next one.
Sorry, there's a little lag on it.
That's okay. All right, so the thing that I definitely want to talk to you about with respect to time management is supplemental instruction. So there are two main entities on campus that do supplemental instruction. You have the Center for Academic Success. They're going to do all of the classes like, chemistry, biology. If it's an engineering specific course, that's done by my group in the College of Engineering. And as you can see, there are a number of classes that we have in the College of Engineering that you can get supplemental instruction for. What this is, it's totally voluntary. You don't have to go to this. This has nothing to do with your grade. It's just an extra place you can go to get help with your work. Now, for regular sessions, that's going to be on specific problems that the supplemental instructor peer leader has made up to do during the class time. And the thing I want to stress here about this program, and it's the same for the Center of Academic Success, is that it is peer-led. So it's led by somebody who's taken the course before you that is a student. So it's not, another, professor or anything doing it. It's a student who's been through it before. We've had a tremendous amount of success. Now I know what you're thinking, engineering classes. I don't really have any on my schedule yet. Well, some of you might actually have some. So if you click that one more time, Mikey, some of you might actually have some of these courses because a handful of the courses that we offer are actually freshman level courses. So if you're a biological engineer or a mechanical engineer or a computer science major or a petroleum engineer, you may be enrolled in one of these courses right now. If you go ahead and scroll to the next one. So the last piece of advice is we're all bright people, right? You guys are coming into the College of Engineering because you're super smart. Totally understand that. But one thing I will tell you is go ahead and start getting help before you think you need help. If I have to give you any advice whatsoever, you just go at the beginning of the semester, make it a habit at the beginning, because I'll tell you, and I'm speaking from experience, I'm a chemical engineer. Okay. So I've been through it. By the time you think you need help, it's already a little too late and you're more behind than you know. So if you go right away, then you're going to be, up with all of the things. And when you have questions, hopefully you'll get some clarity while you're in these sessions. It'll be great. But what I wanted to show you is, do these things work? And with some of the data that we've taken in the College of Engineering, the short answer is yes. So what you see in this bar graph, the blue graph the blue line is, these are the students who didn't go to SI sessions at all. Red, they went to about a third of the sessions or less. And green is they went to a little over a third or more of the sessions. And what happens to the grade, if you look at the average grade in the course, is that the students who went to SI sessions are more likely to raise their grade by a decent amount. So if that's important to you, which I'm assuming it is, going to SI sessions is a good thing, and going to a number of SI sessions is a good thing. All in all, I'm really excited to see that you guys are here and learning about this stuff. If you need anything, my email address is lizmelvin@lsu.edu. Don't hesitate to reach out, and I look forward to seeing you all in the fall.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. And I know Dr. Melvin has a couple of her students here as well, Gloria and Victor. So Gloria and Victor, if you guys want to talk a little bit about SI, that'd be great as well. So I'll turn it over to you, Gloria.
Yeah. So I'll just start by saying that going to SIs, or in the case of this semester, going to SIs if they're virtual, is definitely part of that, like, work harder, not smarter, or work smarter, not harder mindset, because your instructor chose all the problems that they're going to give to you for a reason. And sometimes they even work with the professor to pick out those problems. So you're seeing them for a reason. And it's just nice to have that content in front of your face more than just 2 or 3 times a week in an instruction kind of setting. I also want to say that, like, SIs are like a judgment-free place to ask questions. So, like, we're not going to judge you if, like, you think that your question's stupid. It's not, because chances are someone else has the same question. So yeah, we're just like a peer resource for you. Maybe a little bit less intimidating than your professor. I don't know. Some people are scared of their professors, but I'm the SI for fluid mechanics, the civil engineering and environmental engineering. Yeah, hopefully y'all will have me one day. So there you go.
Appreciate that, Gloria. Victor, did you have anything to add?
I was gonna say the nice thing about being in going to SI is that it's much more informal, and so it's not as intimidating as going up to professor talk questions. Also, advantage about being an SI myself is, after taking a class recently, you tend to notice the easy pitfalls that students are more likely to make on certain parts of the subject. So it's easier to, like, point out, oh, this is a pitfall trap that you might get into, so you can discuss that with the students and let them know that, hey, this mistake that's easy to make that I found difficult. Whereas if a student goes fresh to the fresh goes, they might not necessarily see the same difficulty that a student might have seen. So yeah, beyond that, it's pretty nice. It's also a really good way to meet, like, other students who are also motivated to go to SI. It's also really great to have, like, a network of other students you can work with. So it's great for finding people to study with. Yeah, that's about it on my end.
Yeah, my name's Christian Crotwell. I'm an SI in the petroleum department. But one thing that I've noticed, I've been an SI for 2.5 years or so, and I made connections with a lot of the students who come to my sessions. So that's been really nice, and just to be able to have kind of a friend leading it. That's one thing that I always found nice when I went to the sessions myself. And so as I'm leading sessions, I try to kind of make friendships and acquaintances with all the people who are currently enrolled with the course. And so that way, when we have a class, a session, it's not like a classroom setting. It's a lot more laid back. And like Gloria was saying, you're able to ask questions that you might not want to ask in class, just to have to stop it. So I would definitely recommend them, especially early on. Like Dr. Liz was saying, get in there early, be proactive about it, and you'll learn a lot in them.
Appreciate that, you guys. I will turn it over to Sam Eves. Sam is an incoming 5th-year mechanical student. So Sam, if you want to talk a little bit about yourself as well, that would be great. And I'll turn it over to your slide.
Yeah. First off, I'm Sam Eves, like Mikey said. I'm actually chemical engineering, not mechanical engineering. Yes. Mikey. It does say 4th year, but I graduate in December, so I'll be like a 4.5 year, I guess. So yeah, I'm a Chevron Engineering ambassador, and so basically, if any of y'all have ever taken a tour of Patrick F. Taylor Hall, the engineering building, while you're in high school, that was the people that gave you the tour were Chevron Engineering ambassadors, and so I'm one of the head ambassadors this fall. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be a weird semester for all of us, trust me. And so it's an adjustment we're going to have to make, but it's going to be all right. So during my time here at LSU, I've joined some organizations. Other people have said to do that. I highly recommend it. I'm currently involved in a member of the American Institute for Chemical Engineers, or AICHE, the chapter here at LSU. It's a great way to make connections with people from industry. You'll hear the word networking a lot while you're in college. That's just kind of making connections with people in your classes, professors, and then people from industry. And so a great way to make connections with people from industry, to get the internships, to get co-ops, to get jobs, is to go to these the organization's meetings for each major. So we'll have a meeting every week or so, and we'll have Shell, ExxonMobil, Dow Chemical, different companies come talk to us, and just different stuff about kind of what they do, stuff that they learned in college that they still actually use, kind of how to be successful in your career, just different things like that. I think you always talk to them. And then usually those people that come to the meetings are the ones you see at the career fair that we have every semester. And so then you just build that connection. They're more likely to remember you the more times they see your face and talk to you. And then hopefully at the career fair, which we haven't really talked about much, but the career fair is a great way to go get internships and jobs. You'll talk to them for a few minutes and hopefully get an interview and then a job from there. But besides that, as you can see, I'm from Anderson, South Carolina, so I'm a long way from home. I'm actually back home this summer and working at an internship for a company called First Quality, making toilet paper, basically. But other than that, so you can tell I love sports. That's kind of one of the reasons what drew me to LSU. I've always been an LSU sports fan. And so somebody's drawing all over my screen. All right. But yeah, so that's what I kind of do in my free time. That's kind of the one thing with working smarter, not harder. If you work smarter, you have a lot more free time to do stuff. So I was able to, that top picture on the right there is us winning the dodgeball intramural championship. And so I always make time for intramurals, just because I love being competitive. I love playing sports. And so while you're in college, find the time to do fun stuff. My freshman year, I got involved with the basketball team. I was a manager. And so there's a lot. Find what you enjoy to do. There's something you enjoy to do on campus. I promise. There's so much stuff going on all the time. May not be right away this semester with all of COVID, but hopefully maybe by the spring or at least your sophomore year, things will be back to normal and you can get that real college experience. So that's about all I got. I'm gonna turn it over to Haley Tatum, I think is next.
Thanks, Sam. So, hey guys, my name's Haley. I actually just finished my time at LSU, and I was in computer science, but I love LSU so much that they can't get rid of me. I'm staying to get my master's degree in computer science, and I actually took 5 years. So I saw Dr. Melvin said in the chat, it's totally okay if you take more than 4 years. Actually, a lot of people in the College of Engineering take 5 years to get their degree. I'm in computer science, so really don't worry about it. It's totally okay if it takes you more than 4 years to get your engineering degree. But Mikey asked me to be here today for the Work Smarter, Not Harder session, so I could tell you a little bit about my experience and some advice that I have. So whenever I started 5 years ago, I lived in the engineering dorm, and I only studied like 24/7. I wasn't involved in anything, but I was super bored. So my GPA was great my freshman year, but I was kind of just like lost. I kind of missed volunteering at home and making new friends. I really didn't get that experience because I didn't do like anything my freshman year. So my sophomore year, I joined called the Society of Peer Mentors, and that is housed in the Chevron Center that Dr. Melvin had talked about a few minutes ago, and Mikey and Sam, I think, both mentioned it too. So that's a club where we do mostly outreach, or that's what I thought it was about, volunteering in the community. But because I joined this club, I learned that there were a lot more things that you could do with it, like a summer camp. So if you guys have heard of the Go Engineering Summer Camp, we're running that too. And then they also do like robotics. So you guys can see there's a picture of me building a robot that I did within 3 days. And of course, general outreach and engineering. So that was really, really fun for me because I always volunteered at home back whenever I was in high school, and I loved it. And I met a lot of new people, and it gave me so many new opportunities. So in the left-hand corner, you can see a picture of me in Silicon Valley. And that's one of the East Square trips that LSU does every year. So for this particular trip, we toured like Google, Apple, Bloom Energy, It was absolutely amazing, and I got class credit for it. So I wanted to tell you guys that's something that you guys should look out for. But I wouldn't have known about this if it weren't for another peer mentor in the Society of Peer Mentors who had said like, hey, have you heard about, the E Squared plus Silicon Valley trip? And I was like, no, I don't even know what that is. And she told me about it and she convinced me to go, and it was absolutely amazing. But what I want to say is my struggle at LSU was being a yes person. So typically you'll hear a lot of people at LSU say, be a yes person. And I'm definitely an advocate for that. But I did so much that I didn't manage my time well after my freshman year. So because I joined Society of Peer Mentors, I met someone in the Chevron Center who saw that I can work with electronics. So she asked me to, work with the engineering camp to do electronics. And then there was an opportunity for this program called Go Computer Science that I did with Mikey. It's an awesome program. We go into the community and it's kind of like more outreach, which is amazing for me. And we teach computer science to schools who might not have access to computer science technologies or someone who has the ability to teach them. But really, I was doing so much my second through my fifth year that my GPA suffered. I would be doing like maybe 15 hours of volunteer work on top of like 3 meetings, and I would know I had an SI session that I could go to, and I would just like miss it because school kind of became a second priority for me. So definitely your GPA isn't the most important thing. It's really, really good to be involved, but only be a yes person when you can. Don't say yes to everything, because it literally took me like 4 years to actually be able to say no. And a piece of advice that I want to give you is that people are very understanding. So luckily I worked with everyone in the Chevron Center and Mikey, and they sat down and they had these conversations with me like, it's okay to say no. We're at a school, people know that school is a priority to you. So, if you have a test, you don't have to commit to working like 17 hours, like the 3 days before your test. You don't have to miss an SI session. School definitely should be a priority. So my biggest piece of advice is to be a yes person, but only when you can be a yes person. Don't be a yes person 24/7 like I was. And that's pretty much it for now. But I will turn it back over to Mikey.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. Yeah, like Haley mentioned, she worked for me with GoCS, and I could tell Haley had a lot going on, and we'd have a meeting scheduled, and she'd text me, hey, can we move the meeting to next week because I'm really tired and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend, like she was talking about, that's really where time management comes in, is finding the right balance between your schoolwork and your extracurricular activities, because it's great to get involved, but you want to find that fine line or fine balance to where you are involved, but it's not overwhelming and you're still getting at least 6 or 7 hours of sleep a night. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Pam Ball, and she works in the Center for Academic Success. So.
Hey, everybody. Been sitting here listening to all of these things. I'm the only person on the panel today that's not from within the College of Engineering. So I am just sitting here appreciating everything that I'm hearing. You as students who are incoming for the first time, really taking out some time this afternoon to get familiar with these things. I'm really impressed by that. And then hearing all of the things that the College of Engineering is doing to welcome you and have everything lined up and all the support in place. I think you're very fortunate to be coming to LSU for the College of Engineering. I work in the Center for Academic Success, which is located a little bit further away from the College of Engineering. It's in the Quad, and we do a lot of things to work with students. I'm just going to fly through this right now, but what I'm doing today is planting little seeds, because when you get to the point where you're feeling overwhelmed time-wise or study-wise, I want you to remember there was that lady with the white hair and she talked about this place, and then you can find us because we want to be able to support you. I'm hearing a lot about balance. I'm hearing a lot about time management and study smarter. And we are certainly the place on campus for all of your classes, not just the engineering classes. So we have 2 main areas. One is strategies, where we offer academic coaching to students. That's a one-on-one. These days it's one-on-one Zoom. Typically it's one-on-one in an office, but either way, way we can talk through your situation and your time and study challenges and help you make a plan. So coaching is critical. We do a lot of workshops and outreach. We also have a support arm in the study and the Center for Academic Success, and that is tutoring, study groups, and supplemental instruction. You've heard a lot about supplemental instruction for engineering courses. We have a lot of courses that you will be looking at during your first 2 years. So, you know, history, Latin, psychology, biology, chemistry, all of those classes we offer the SI sessions in, and it's exactly like they described it for engineering. Somebody who has taken that class with that professor who has been recommended by that professor leads our SI sessions, and students just flock to them like crazy. Our tutoring center is located in the main library in the quad. Right now, we are still offering individual tutoring through Zoom, and you will also find study groups there through Zoom. So let's swing through real quick. Mikey, give me my next slide. Click again, please. There we go. That's what I wanted them to see. All right, guys, we're talking about balance. We're talking about study smarter. This is your very first tool. This says summer 2020, but we have designed the one for fall 2020, and it will be on our website next week. We will have copies delivered to in-person, paper copies delivered to each senior college, including UCFY, where you go for advising right now, and the College of Engineering, and they'll also be available at our center in Coates Hall. This is the entire fall semester on one sheet of paper. And what I would recommend you do is snap one of these up and go through your syllabi inch by inch and put in all of your due dates and all of your assignments. That is the best way for you to have the big picture of what's coming this semester. Okay, so Mikey, next slide. This one might fill in a little bit for us, but go ahead and click till we get to the next one. Okay, so once you know your entire semester, what's going to be due, then we would want to sit down with you and look at academic coaching. This is the example of a weekly planner. We're not going to show the video. I'm trying to move really fast, but we want you to look at the semester, then your week. When are your classes? When are your SI sessions? Where is work? Where is fun? I agree with all of these students. LSU is too great a place to miss only doing academics. However, academics do have to exist. You have to be a successful student to be able to stay here. So we want to point you in that right direction. You'll see a picture on this slide of Beth Wallace. She is one of our academic coaches. And she, like me, sit down one-on-one, and we can work out a schedule with you for study and being involved and working with that. So I have one more slide. All right, we're not gonna swim through this, but I do want you to see the study cycle, learning to know information deeply to be able to apply that information on tests, because college is not about memorizing. College is about being able to apply information. So you see START, there will be things we can teach you, small things to do before class, in class, after class, and then how to have effective study time so that then you are free to enjoy the rest of LSU. If any of you are coming to the engineering portion of Choose Your Adventure during Welcome Week, you will see a workshop by us. It's called Go Academic, and we'll go over all this in more detail. You can also pick it up from our website. We have a lot of videos on there. You could go ahead and schedule a coaching session for your first or second weekend of class to look at your schedule and look at what you can do to make sure you succeed. So that's all I'm going to speak on today. I'll turn it back on to Mikey.
Thank you, Pam, and thanks for all of that very helpful information for all these incoming students. So I would definitely recommend to utilize the Center for Academic Success right when you get on campus. So with that, let me continue these slides a little bit. So I felt like since I was just in college a year and a half ago. I graduated in 2018. I just throw in a few tips for you guys in terms of time management and transitioning to college. So I'd recommend right when you get on campus to just spark conversation with people, whether that's in a club or an organization or just before class starts. I met most of my friends my freshman year just by talking to people before class or talking to people at the rec center. So I definitely recommend just start talking to people, and that's how you'll get to know people and get to make friends your freshman year. Go to class. Definitely cannot stress this enough. Not every class is going to have, not every class will be mandatory to actually go to class. Obviously, your professors will suggest coming to class, but they may not take attendance. But you still should go to class because that is where you're going to learn everything that you need to learn for that class. So if you do miss a class, you are going to be missing out on information that will be on an exam. And so I would just recommend, first and foremost, to go to class. Find a go-to space on campus outside of your dorm room where you're productive. So at least for me, I couldn't always concentrate in my dorm room. So I'd find a place where I was productive, and it wasn't always the library, and I'd go there to get my work done. So explore campus a little bit. You're obviously in the engineering college, but it's okay to go to other buildings and see what's around campus. So explore, and Patrick F. Taylor Hall really is, I think, the best building on campus, but it's still, I'd recommend exploring and just finding somewhere else besides your dorm room where you're going to get things done. And like we've heard already so much, apply for jobs and opportunities. So getting involved is really important, and that's where your time management will really come in, is once you do either have an on-campus job or you're involved in an organization, is balancing that time. So I'd recommend just applying for jobs and opportunities right off the bat, and that's a good way to meet people as well. So with that, let's see, we have something in the chat as well. Is there a schedule or welcome week that I can have? So we will have an LSU welcome week a week before classes start. So I believe it's August 17th is the beginning of welcome week. So a week before classes start, we'll have your LSU welcome week, and then we'll also have something called Go Engineering for you as well. So welcome week will kind of get you introduced to everything LSU. That's where you'll pick up your Tiger card and all that stuff. So keep a lookout for more information on that as we get closer to that date. Awesome. So now I'm just going to open it up for questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. And while you guys are doing that, I'll pitch a question to our students here. Haley, Sam, Gloria, all of you guys, if you want to feel free to chip in to answer this. My question to you is, what was your biggest struggle with transitioning from high school to college? And I'll give you guys a few seconds to think of your answer. And
I could start with this one. For me, the amount of free time you have in college, you don't really realize, because in high school, you're in class for 8 to 9 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And in college, you're in class like maybe 3 to 4 hours a day at the most. So you just have all this free time. You don't know what to do. And so for me, the bigger struggle was making myself stay on top of my schoolwork and reading back through my notes from the lecture that day or the previous day, or just going ahead and doing my homework that's due in a week. I did it. It always works well for like 2 weeks, and then it just kind of falls off a cliff for me. And so that's something you can kind of get away with your first year or so. As you get later in engineering, you really got to be on top of your stuff, which has been mentioned a few times, I know, during this. So just stay on top of your stuff during your free time as best you can.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to piggyback off of that, what Sam said. Michael said, find a go-to place. And one thing that I ended up kind of adapting to my sophomore year was I told myself I'm going to put in from 9 to 5 every day. I'm just going to do schoolwork. And so it ended up being a good amount of time. And I stuck with that for a while until I got to the point where I could trust myself. Okay, I'm going to get all my stuff done. It just might not always be between 9 to 5 every day. And I know that might not work for everybody. Some people might like to study at night. But one thing that I really had to hone in on was get a good go-to place to study and get a good schedule.
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback off of that and say my first year, like my free time was really hard. And I had a lot of friends that weren't in engineering. Not that engineering is like way harder than other colleges. That's not what I want to say. But whenever you're taking like math classes and your friends aren't, it's really important to like actually focus on those classes, especially if you're taking like the 4 or 5 hour math classes. So it can be tempting to, you know, like go hang out with your friends all day or like go to the mall or like skip class because it's only an hour or something. But you know, when your parents aren't there to make you go to school and you don't have to like check into the office every morning, it's definitely tempting not to go to class. But I would definitely have to say you have to have, you know, the self-respect and I don't know, I guess just the ability to tell yourself like you need to go, you have to do it. Because in the long run, it's going to be better. Because I'll be honest with you guys, like I skipped a lot of class like my freshman year, and the classes that I did skip were the ones that I did the absolute worst in. So in general, like don't skip class because I promise it'll come back and eat you later. So go to class.
Appreciate that, you guys. I'll pitch one. We did have a question in the chat about supplemental instruction. Do all classes have supplemental instruction? And I think Dr. Melvin just touched on that as well. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Dr. Melvin or Gloria or any of the students about that.
I'm unmuted. So the College of Engineering does have a website. It does need a little bit of updating. Just to give you a heads up, CSC 1351 won't be offered, but very few of you are going to be in that right away. It's largely because of an attendance issue. We just didn't, you know, over the last 2 years, we didn't have enough attendees to justify keeping that one. But we are going to pick up another class. We just have to figure out which class that is. So all the classes that are listed on the website, we are going to offer except for CSC 1351. We just need to update the times. The other thing I do want to make you aware of is that the format's going to be a little bit different this year because of COVID. So over the summer and of course at the end of the spring, we experimented a bit with doing online SI sessions. And so some of those SI sessions will be live sessions where a student is working through the problem with you. Some of them will be online videos of separate problems for you to go and take a look at. However, one thing that I do stress with my program, and I'm stressing with my SIs, is that even if we do offer materials that are posted online, we absolutely have to have some opportunity for you to meet with a human real time. So in lieu of, you know, sitting and watching somebody go through a set of problems, it may be you watch a video on how to do that problem, and then you attend extra office hours with other people where you can ask more questions about that. So my recommendation when you're using these resources is, you know, certainly work through the problem with the SI as they're going through the video. Physically put pencil to paper. It's very important. But then also write down your questions that you have along the way, and then join in on some of the online office hour help. I think it could be a really great additional resource for all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Melvin. We have another question. Are web-based courses going to be strictly online, or will there be some days where we meet in person? So if on your schedule it says online, it's going to be strictly online. Obviously with COVID, we kind of don't really know what's going to happen with all of these classes. So that's just kind of TBD. But if you schedule a class and it says online, it will be online. I'll pitch another question to students or faculty.
Mikey, can I interject real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So just alongside what Mikey said is, it's going to be dependent on your professor. Each class is going to be a bit different. So pay close attention to your syllabus, because your professor may post videos online, but have you join the class at your normal time so that you can go through problems or ask questions. So, you know, Will there be live interaction? It really depends on how your professor decides to use the class, whether you're online or hybrid. So pay really, really close attention and try to keep all of that straight, because and I'll be 100% honest with y'all. So my kids are doing 100% virtual, and I know they're in elementary school, and they're going to have things bouncing back and forth. And so that's one thing I'm going to help them with is, keeping all of that straight, when they have to be online and when they have to be doing work on their own.
Yeah, that's a good addition. It'll all be laid out in your syllabus, so definitely pay attention to that, and that could differ from class to class as well. So definitely read your syllabus before your class starts. I'll pitch another question to our students. Obviously, the topic of this is working smarter, not harder. So what are some study habits that you have kind of developed, and how have you, like yourself, worked smarter and not harder when you're since you got to college?
So I'll start with this one because it's definitely one of the first tips I give people whenever I'm talking about working in engineering. So I'd have to say make study groups. So I made a study group my freshman year with a bunch of other computer science students, and we are still best friends to this day. We even have a Snapchat group, and we send each other pictures every day. And now a lot of people have graduated, so they're talking about their jobs or encouraging other people to get these jobs or do this or this. But I have to say, find a study group. So I didn't know anyone in my study group. I just kind of talked to people in class and got that study group. But it really can help you to see something through someone else's eyes, if that makes sense. So when you're in a study group, more than likely, at least one person is going to know what's going on. So you'll find a lot of times in engineering, you might kind of feel like you have imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm in mechanical engineering, but I really don't know what this teacher is talking about. If you're in a study group, chances are somebody is going to know what they're talking about, what's going on. And then you guys can study together. And when you study together, it's a lot more fun. And then again, you can see other people's perspective. You can see how someone else would tackle that problem, and that might be able to help you. So that's definitely my biggest advice for work smarter, not harder.
Thanks, Haley. Any of the other students have anything to chip in? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Anybody else have any other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. And while you guys are doing that, if so, I will put my contact information on the screen real quick. If you guys have any additional questions after this ends, feel free to give me an email. And if it has to do with the Center of Academic Success, I can pass it along to Miss Pam or Dr. Melvin if it's related to the Chevron Center. So let me see if we have a question. Where are the best places to join organizations? Anybody have anything on that?
Hey, Logan. So I'm in petroleum engineering. And so our organization, SP, Society of Petroleum Engineers, the best place and easiest would be look on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's going to go for a lot of them. And for us, you're just going to kind of show up. That's how, I still do it to this day. It's not like I have to tell them that I'm coming, but you just show up, and their meetings, you might have a company representative come, or we might just be hanging out. Be different. It might be different for this semester. But yeah, I would just look on social media for a lot of them.
It's in the chat, but also be looking for something called Engineering Tiger Connections. That's something that the college puts together for all of the engineering student orgs. Now, of course, that doesn't include some really awesome organizations that are in the university as a whole. In order to find anything at LSU, I typically Google. So if you Google LSU student organizations, you should find a list of all of the student organizations on campus. Don't get overwhelmed. It's a very long list. But if you kind of know what you want to get into, you might be able to tell just by taking a look at that. But another thing I do want to urge you to is, before you get super excited about something, try to see how active they are. And if that level of activity matches your level of commitment that you want to put in, then it might be a good fit. But just do a little bit of homework before you go.
Thanks, Dr. Melvin. Yeah, like she mentioned, engineering Tiger Connections is a great way to find student orgs. Even if you're just an undecided student, like I said earlier, I think that's a good way to like meet people in different majors as well and talk to different people and see what they're doing. And that might be a good way to find out what you're passionate about as well, if you're coming in undecided, which is totally fine, by the way. Haley, I saw you had taken yourself off mute.
Yeah, so there was a question about Go Engineering, which is the program that's happening like within Welcome Week for the College of Engineering. So the question was about the schedule, and because we just recently decided to make the entire program virtual, we're still working out like the exact schedule, how we're going to transition from like this session to this session. But if you signed up or you were on the wait list and you got an email or recently signed up, you will receive your schedule soon. We just, again, have to work out a few changes due to going virtual.
Thanks, Haley. I'll pitch one more question to Miss Pam as well, if she wants to come back on. I know she talks a lot about the Center of Academic Success, but if you just have any like personal advice for incoming freshmen and or anything that you see a lot of in terms of incoming students.
I do. And one of the things that I would say actually kind of mirrors something that Dr. Melvin said. When you need help, you have to let us know. You have to use your resources. LSU is a big place. And for a lot of students, LSU is really big, even bigger than your hometown. But there are so many people on this campus that really care about students. But I can't stop you walking across campus and say, hey, how are your grades? Is your organization working? How about your time management? Did you pass your last test? I need to wait. But we are there. So you have to reach out for the resources. You have to let us know you need help, and then we will run the length of a football field to meet you there. And go ahead and get a plan together. Once you get your syllabi for each class, you're going to have to look through and go, okay, do I have to be present for this class every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9:30? Yes or no? What other times do I need to meet for that? So it's not only when things are due, it's how is this class going to meet? And you realizing if there's a class that's just going to show videos that you can watch at any time, then you need to go ahead and put in your schedule to watch those videos. It is on a regular basis each week. It is too seductive to say, yeah, I'll get to those in a little while. And then you know what? The week of the test is going to show up and you'll be like, I got to watch 9 videos. And it's really hard to grab that information and understand it deeply enough to do well on a test. So ask for help when you need it and get yourself a plan at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah, I would also say, obviously we're all human, like we procrastinate on things, and it's very easy to procrastinate for studying for an exam or doing a paper.
Yes.
So I know that happens, but like Ms. Pam said, you can at least like do your readings before every class and like watch your videos before every class that you need to, because then when it comes time to study for those exams, you're more well prepared and you don't have to like study as much / like grasp as much information if you already like know the information. So I would definitely recommend like doing your readings, doing your watching your videos and all that stuff as well. Dr. Melvin, I saw you came back on as well.
I did, and I'm going to piggyback off of that a bit. So, and I'm very used to working with students. I've been working with students a really long time, and I put something in chat. I just want to put an extra plug in for the Center for Academic Success. They are amazing at what they do. I've really seen them turn a lot of students around. Who thought, oh my gosh, I can't stay in college, going, and improving their grades, helping them to learn the things that they needed to do to improve their grades. But the one thing that I am going to say, and I'm going to put my mommy hat back on for a minute, is, I can't stress enough that the way that you're going to be expected to learn is going to be so much different in college than it was in high school. In high school, the expectation is that all the information would be given to you. In college, it's not always given to you, and the expectation of the professors is that you are actually going to do some of the work that Mikey talked about on your own. And so it is critical when they give you a reading assignment. You really kind of need to do that before class so that you're not completely lost. Because the truth is, in engineering, there's just a ton of information that we as professors need to give you and that you need to get so that you don't accidentally blow somebody up, with your calculations later. And that's a real thing. Just take ownership of this time and go ahead and get yourself prepared as best as possible, because the thing is that even if the professor doesn't test on that one thing that you read, or that one chapter, or that one section that you read, you still know it, right? You know where to find it later. Because the thing is that when you get out into the real world, and I worked in industry for 7 years, they're not going to give you a textbook problem to work. They're going to give you a problem, and you're going to have to figure it out with the knowledge that you gain from college. So that's my little soapbox moment for that.
Awesome, yeah, and I'd just say it's definitely a better feeling to walk into class like prepared and having done what needs to be done, rather than, and we've all, at least for me, I've walked into a class and like I didn't do the reading, and it's an awful feeling. And so, especially my last 2 or 3 years of college, I would always make sure I'd come to class like prepared, because it's not a fun feeling when you like don't know what's going on in class. But I will say that college and even engineering obviously has a stigma that it's super challenging, which it is, but it's all doable. All these students here are close to graduating, and they've done a great job of managing time management, and I'm sure their grades are great as well. So it's doable. You just have to commit yourself, like we've heard so much about in the past hours. So if we have no other questions, I will wrap it up. And like I said, my contact information is on the screen right here. So feel free to send me an email if you have any other questions, or if you miss any information. I can pass along information to some of our students and speakers as well. So I just want to thank you guys and make sure we don't have anything else. Okay, Dr. Melvin put her email in the chat. So Liz Melvin at lsu.edu is her email. And I think, let me see. Ms. Pam, what's your email? I'll go ahead and put that in the chat.
I am pball1 at lsu.edu.
Awesome, thank you. So let's put that in the chat as well. So
I used to make everyone who came through orientation memorize my email. So
it's good to know.
lsu.edu.
It's good to know people's emails. So that's important. So thank you guys, and thank you to our panelists, our speakers, faculty, staff, and students for being here. I hope this was informative for you guys. And like we had said earlier, this will be recorded and posted online. So if you missed any information, it's okay. You can go back and rewatch it. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you, panelists, as well. We're looking forward to seeing you all in a few weeks on campus. Even during these crazy times, we're going to all get through it together. So have a good rest of your week, and go Tigers.